Hey y'all, I've got a great topic to talk to you about today. It's about career lessons. So, I'm just sharing some of the lessons that I've learned throughout choosing career pathways and telling you how to reconcile dividing interests. So, without further ado, let's get into it. It's story time. When I started looking at college applications, I really wasn't too much interested in going to college. Although I came from a family where all of my sisters had gone to colleges, two of them had already gone to HBCUs, and I was just kind of like floating around as far as what I really wanted to do with my life. When I really got serious about determining a career pathway, I actually landed on graphic design and interior design. I didn't really have any experience with either subjects, but it was something that I wanted to do. I would design t-shirts for churches and flyers from time to time, so it was something I like dabbled in, but I didn't necessarily have a passion for it. I just knew it was something I could do. So when it came to applying for colleges, I really didn't know what major to select. So I first decided I wanted to go to Clark Atlanta University, but I didn't. I chose Fisk University, Fisk Forever. And on that application, I was originally going to select undecided, but then my sister was like, you should do psychology. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So getting into the field of psychology was really eye-opening because I found out I had a passion for it all along, interacting with people and getting to understand why we do the things we do. Was always something I was interested in. It really fed my gifts of hospitality and caring and encouraging, and I didn't even know. So I stuck it out with psychology and ended up getting a BA in that, and then from there God took me on a pathway to get an MDiv, which is a Master of Divinity degree, and then from there I got a Master of Arts in Religion, and my area focus was religion, psychology, and culture. So it's really difficult to pinpoint what degrees are actually fitting for your gifts and talents sometimes, but it's not impossible. So it's difficult, but it's not impossible. So today what we're going to talk about is how to avoid dividing your interests and allow them to feed and nurture one another and assist you in selecting your career path. I worked with a lot of college students over the years who are just really confused about choosing a pathway and sticking with it and finding a job they love and don't regret getting up every morning and heading to for the work day. Like, choosing a 9 to 5 can be terrifying. So I think if we start with just pinpointing what our gifts are, what our interests are, we'll have a better time figuring out what graduate programs we want to go into and what career options we should seek out. So here we go. The first question to ask yourself is, what activities excite me? I've asked myself this question so many times throughout the past 5 to 9 years of pursuing an education, and it changes every year. It changes. It's like one year I actually like customer service, the next year it's like, I don't want to have to interact with people every day. Is there an alternative to that? And that question can be kind of intimidating at first, because it's like, well, I haven't done everything, so I don't really know what excites me. I can only decide that or determine that based on what I've done thus far. And that's a good start, because if you can decide whether or not I've enjoyed activities I've already engaged in, then you know what activities you need to seek out. If you've normally done stuff where you've worked in groups, then potentially you might need to seek out opportunities where you're working independently and see if that works out for you. If you enjoy having solitude while doing your work, or if you need that team atmosphere in order to flourish, that's a good thing to consider. Growing up, I really liked volunteering with the youth department at church. So I taught Sunday school. Every kid from 2 years old to 6 years old was in my class, and I'll actually post a picture right here of me teaching Sunday school. Don't judge that style or the eyebrows, okay? I was teaching Sunday school, and it was a really great experience for me because I learned that I really did have a passion for teaching and explaining things to young people who are younger than you and see differently from you. I'll never forget, one of the kids in Sunday school asked me,
"Well, is God mean? Because he seems like he does a lot of mean things.
And it was because we were reading some of the Old Testament stories, and Noah and the ark was really difficult for children to understand because it's like,
wait, the whole earth flooded? And then the whole earth flooded because God wanted it to?
and it's like, ah, so it's like you really have to take your time when explaining things like that. And so that challenged me as a believer to know why I'm saying what I'm saying, right? And making sure that I'm not just giving my own interpretation, but I'm actually being mindful that there is a place that this is coming from. So the Bible is where I'm getting this response or this answer from. That really opened my eyes to teaching. So when I got to college, I didn't know that becoming a professor might be something that I wanted to do. And it wasn't until the second time I was in graduate school that I actually thought, hey, yeah, I want to teach. I want to make sure students are experiencing the classroom in a way that I didn't, where it's exciting and you're actually engaging the students every day in a new way. And it's not walk-in discussion, break, and then we come back and you present, and then like it's more fluid, if you will, that there's a pedagogy that actually incorporates aspects that encourage the students to speak for themselves and embrace their way of understanding and communicating with other students. So that was one experience that led to me understanding what excites me, what am I interested in. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents as a youth, and when you're dealing with elderly people, there are things that you have to pay attention to, like if they've taken their medication, if they're walking a bit different than they were yesterday, did they possibly pull something, or you just have to be mindful. So caring for people became a very innate characteristic for me, and I always had like a heart and passion for caring for people. So that brought me to psychology, where I learned that counseling is a way that we care for people. Pastoral care in particular, which I learned about in graduate school, is the caring for souls, right? And so it's this intimate way that you care for another person throughout the day-to-day tasks and responsibilities that we all go through. And so spending time with my grandparents, although you just assume like, oh, well, that's like a thing that every little kid does, like everybody spends time with their grandparents. Well, if you're spending time with your grandparents and it's as much life-giving to you as it is for them, then that might be something that you could be interested in, right? I'm interested in caring for the elderly. And so there are all these experiences that happen that we can use to draw on and figure out, hey, is this something I like? Is this something I don't like? Oh, I really love this. Well, then let me pursue a career that has this incorporated into it. And that's how you choose a career path that doesn't divide your interests, but incorporates them all in a way that helps you flourish and feel like your career is life-giving. The second question you should ask yourself is a common question that we always hear when people are talking about setting career goals and determining what you want to do as a full-time professional. And that question is, what would I do for little to no money? Now, I know if y'all are like me, you're like, well, what can I get rid of that will cause me to need little to no money, okay? What's really life-giving for me? What excites me? And I don't need to get paid for it. Like helping out my grandparents, I would do that for free. So then with counseling, it's like, oh, I could counsel people for the rest of my life because there's this relational dynamic that is life-giving, but at the same time, it can be very weighing on the therapist. So would I necessarily do that for little to no pay? No, because I would need to take care of myself in other self-care ways that I would need money for. Like if I needed to go to therapy, or if you just need simple things that are self-care related, like going to get your hair done, getting your nails done, a day at the spa. All these things will cost you money, so doing therapy full time may not be something that I'm willing to do for little to no money. However, another thing that I would do for little to no money is intervention and prevention programming. I love creating programs where students can come in, whether they're undergraduate students or graduate students, can come in and just debrief, like relax, de-stress, and just be who they are in a safe space. So that's something that I'm willing to do for little to no money. And I have done it for little to no money, y'all. So that's really realistic. So when you think about what interests you and what things you would do for little to no money, is it working with animals? Is it working with people? Is it traveling? Would you travel for little to no money? Because that means you could have a potentially lucrative career in trading or something like that. You could even try out to be a brand ambassador. Like, there are so many options if you just want to travel, if you want to spend all your days on the go, going somewhere, seeing something. Like, that would be a great opportunity for you. So really consider what you would do for little to no money. The third question you should ask yourself is, what's my ideal schedule? Do I want a schedule where I'm always on the go, or do I need downtime? Do I need to have my weekends to myself? Am I okay working a 7-day week job? Some people are, some people aren't. So figuring out if you're one of those people where your job needs to be 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or if you need to have Saturday as an option and then Sunday as a day of rest. Being personally aware of what you do and do not want to do throughout your week is very important. So if you know at 7 p.m. every day technology has to be cut off, I just need me time, I need downtime with my family, we're going to have dinner, and then I'm going to put the kids to bed. You need to know that for yourself. And so establishing those boundaries for time in your life is really important when you're choosing a career, because what you don't want to do is jump into a career and then have to pull back on your responsibilities because you didn't determine what your time schedule would look like before going in. Know your ideal schedule and stick to it. I can't express that enough. Stick to it. The day you change your schedule to accommodate someone else's, that could potentially become a full-time thing. So you kind of have to keep people in check about what your schedule is and what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do during your time. So again, those are 3 questions you can ask yourself when trying to choose the right career path. What activities excite you the most? What would you do for little to no pay? What's your ideal schedule? Ask yourself those 3 questions and then sit down and actually look at some job descriptions. Indeed is a great site to go on and look at what jobs are posted in your area, and then just pull the titles like program coordinator, advertising manager, specialist. These are all key terms that are used to outline job descriptions. So you want to look at that. You also want to visit LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great site to use and look at what other people's jobs have been over the years in your network. Also look at networks that they're affiliated with. So if they're affiliated with some local groups, institutions, or community organizations, you can look at those links and see if there are any jobs within those fields that you'd be interested in. And most of all, keep your head up. Choosing a career path and searching for a job can be time consuming and extremely stressful. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. You always have this gap of time. It's going to be a time period for you to just breathe. Practice self-care. Take time out to do some things that you enjoy. Communicate with people who are going to encourage you, remind you of your gifts, and lift you up in prayer during that time, because dividing your interests is something that the world kind of pushes on you. It's like, don't be a double major in one thing. Don't have 2 part-time jobs, have 1 full-time job. And it becomes like really intimidating, because if you can't decide, then you feel like you're not being responsible or being an adult. And that's not the case. It's just that God has given you so many different gifts. You're trying to pinpoint which one God wants you to use right now. And that's okay. That means that you have a wealth of knowledge to pull on. You have a wealth of experiences to pull on. And God is going to do something awesome with you. I'll tell you one more story before we part. I was in graduate school and I made the mistake of speaking with someone more intimately than I should have. I was in an office with someone who I thought I could place my trust in and kind of respect as a role model and a scholar. And I was asked the question, what do you want to do? Like, what's your ultimate profession or goal? What job title would you go after? And I told this person that I wanted to be a director of a counseling center, or I wanted to be involved with student life at a university in some capacity. And I also wanted to open up an orphanage, and I also wanted to do designing graphic and interior design. And so this person just kind of tilted her head and looked at me and said, you can't do all that. You'll have to choose, especially if you want to go into a doctoral program. You won't be able to do all that, and you won't find one that will fit all of that. And I kind of just sighed like, oh, is that the reality? Like, is that the fate that I face? It was just like she let the air out of my balloon, telling me that I would never find a doctoral program that would fit all of those interests. And I'm like, that's not possible. Like, I've gone to an HBCU where one faculty member worked 3 to 5 jobs, okay? So I know it's very possible for you to have all your interests included and to pursue whatever career path you want to. And if that means 3 career paths at the same time, it's more than possible. God is able. You're capable. You've been equipped and gifted with so many different talents. You can do whatever you want to do. So I walked out of there that day, and although the air was let out of my balloon, I like put it in my pocket, like, I'm gonna take this to Family Dollar and get it blown up again, and we gonna be good. Like, I was not letting her destroy the dream that I had for so long. Like, who tells someone you can't open up an orphanage? Like, who are you?
Who are you?
So it was really difficult for me to come back from that, but I still believe that all of those things can happen. And although they might not all happen at once, which is key, that's probably what should have been told to me, is that those things might not all happen at once, but that might be something that you can accomplish over the course of your lifetime. And so if God has given you a gift or a goal that is like deep in your spirit, don't give up on it, because although it might not look like it's going to happen right now, it might happen over the course of your lifetime. It's so possible that God has just placed that in your spirit for now, and those roots are going to grow into a gorgeous tree later on. So stay encouraged, keep faith that all things are still working together for your good. I believe it. I practice that every day. Look, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, hey, it's good. All things are working together for my good. So I'm just going to list a couple scriptures that have helped me stay positive while I'm on the job search, and other things that might uplift you along your journey. If you need more or you want me to pray with you, please just comment below, send me a message, and I'd be more than happy to do that with you. Also, if you're interested in seeing more videos like this, comment below, like this video, and subscribe to my channel. And I'd be more than happy to continue sharing career stories with you all while I continue to journey through my career as well. And I hope that you'll come back again and catch another video next Sunday. That's it. That's all. Bye, y'all.